All right, chat, we're back. We got more news going on, and we're doing it. It's a decent amount today. It wasn't that much up until today. As of yesterday, it wasn't that much at all. Today, all of a sudden, now there's a lot. Go through usual big news, big three. Small news, chat picks. More chat picks than the normal, which is nice. Oh, that one I need to check again as well. Okay, we're gonna start off as usual with the big stuff. PlayStation. All right, Chris Scullion, VGC. We're going to cautiously move this forward. Sony says it hears PlayStation disc backlash, but will continue its plans. What a surprise. The company announced a month ago about the physical disc bullshit. Now during a Q&A session following its Q1 2026 earnings announcement, Sony CFO Lin Tiao has addressed the situation, stating that Sony had been giving the decision to go digital only some thought for a while before announcing it, and that it doesn't plan to change its mind. We announced that from January 2028 onwards, we will no longer be manufacturing game discs. So we announced it 1.5 years ahead, she said via Sony's interpreter. There are various reasons we made the decision, the biggest being that digitalization of contents overall has been progressing. That's the big factor. It's not just for PlayStation, but for all kinds of content. Digitalization is progressing. Is that a translatable word? And so when we think about the future, we put in a lot of thought and time, and we cautiously consider this, and we came to this conclusion, and we're going to cautiously move this forward. Also acknowledged the backlash to the decision on social media for the first time, stating that while Sony was aware of the players' reaction to the news, its focus was on how to keep them interested in PlayStation games when it goes all digital. We understand those emotions, okay? To this decision, we have received various opinions, and people have strong views, and we understand that the community has put forward those views to us. Gamers are loved by many. It's a form of entertainment that's loved by people, and it's connected to people's fond memories in many cases. And so we understand those emotions. We want to consider that in the future digital ecosystem, how do we engage the gamers in something that we would like to continue to explore? So, hey, no surprise there. They're gonna keep going. But they also have some sort of middle ground that they're very excited about. And we heard about this before. Chris Cullen, VGC. Sony says it's been talking to retailers about its disc-free future, suggesting US retailers may still sell codes in a box. I feel like they missed the point. I feel like they missed the point here. This is more about that same Q&A. With the completion of disc production, we communicated this at an early stage so that we have enough time to be able to listen to various partners' voices. In North America, this has already happened, but without discs in the package, there's a code included. That's how they'll sell in North America. There are regional characteristics for each regional partner, so we'll try to have thorough dialogue so that we can end up in a win-win situation. Again, the thing isn't to have a box; it's the disc. So why even bother having a box with a code in it? What's the point? If the whole point is to have the physical disc, why make the box? It's just going to confuse people, because most people are not going to hear about this. Most people are just going to assume that in 2 years from now, there's just going to be discs in those boxes. That's the vast majority of people are going to assume that, unless they're told outright. This is going to be a fun time. It's going to be a real fun time. Next up, let's go to Xbox. Not really anything for Nintendo today. They had a few outages this week. I think they're fixed now, though, following the PlayStation stuff last week. Xbox says it's aware of major outages when signing in and launching games, and it's working to mitigate the issue. Chris Scully and VGC. The Xbox status page showed major outage status on its account and profile, stored in subscriptions and apps and mobile services. Not able to sign in, yada, yada, yada. All three status reports say the issue has been identified and that the resolution is currently pending, but they fixed all this already, following the PlayStation Network outage last week. So yeah, they fixed it by now, but they also went through a major outage, suspiciously close to the PlayStation outage. But then we also have some updates from Da Boss. Chris calling VGC again. Asha Sharma says Xbox expects to return to growth by this time next year as it reports an annual decline in revenue. Microsoft posted its financial reports for the quarter last quarter on Wednesday, stating that while the company as a whole was seeing a continued growth, with revenue and operating income both up 18%, the Xbox division was instead seeing reduced revenues. Xbox hardware revenue also declined, according to Microsoft, with a 13% drop. That's a lot. recurring situation for Xbox through the past financial year. Q3 earnings report showed that Xbox content and services revenue was down 5% based on the same period last year, and that hardware revenue was down 33% year on year. And we'll talk more about this hardware stuff later. Posting on Twitter, Sharma stated that while Xbox saw new players trying its services for the first time in the past financial year, this hasn't yet resulted in a notable growth, but that the expectation was that the company would start seeing growth again by the end of fiscal year 2027, which ends in June. 200 million new players came to Xbox in our games, but our business did not grow with our audience. We need to close that gap by investing in what players will value. That will take time, but we expect to return to growth by the end of fiscal year 2027. So they're very optimistic about it. I mean, after all these cuts, it's going to be tough to not be at a positive level because they fired so many people, so that's so much less overhead. So I wonder how much that's going to play a factor into whatever numbers they get at the end of the fiscal year. Oh, man. Next up, no more Dragon Age, question mark? Chris Cullinan put in the work this week. Dragon Age series producer says he doesn't see it returning because of EA's greenlighting process. Oh, man. In an interview with Fervor, Mark Dara, who was at BioWare for 23 years, was the executive producer on the Dragon Age series, was discussing the potential of another Dragon Age game being greenlit in the future. Explained that Dragon Age has likely been sidelined while BioWare works on its next Mass Effect game and may end up lying dormant because of the way EA works when it comes to pitching new games using existing IP. Numerous people believe they have ownership of certain IPs at EA, meaning when someone tries to pitch a game using those IPs, they can be shot down. Says, I have no concept of who would possibly pitch a new Dragon Age at EA. EA owns a frightening number of IPs that are dormant. What I've heard is that if you go and decide you're going to make a game based on an IP, the instant you're about to start, suddenly like 3 different people who think they control it come out of the woodwork and essentially rip you apart and chew you up and spit you out. Because of this structure, Dara believes the only people who could pitch a new Dragon Age would be BioWare, but the problem is I don't know who at BioWare would pitch a Dragon Age. So the other option is somebody else within the EA organization decides they're going to pitch a Dragon Age, and what I expect would happen if they try to do that is somebody at BioWare would essentially become one of those people jumping under the vents to rip that person apart. I suspect that it would happen for various reasons. Obviously, Velgar didn't do that great. So we're looking at possibly the end of Dragon Age. They also talked about the possible remasters. Chris Cullen VGC again. A Dragon Age remaster trilogy is unlikely because nobody who knows the old engine is left, says the producers. It's the same interview, same dude. Explained that a trilogy of remasters, which he proposed would be called the Champions Edition, was originally part of the plan while he was at BioWare. I think what you want is a Champions Edition. That was always my plan. We're going to do Champions Trilogy. We're going to retroactively turn this into, like, these are 3 games with 3 different important figures, and we're going to group them in, collect them together. We're going to retroactively turn it into a trilogy. The problem is, however, is that while all 3 Mass Effect games ran on Unreal Engine 3, making remasters relatively manageable, the first 2 Dragon Age ran on versions of BioWare's bespoke Aurora engine. Wow. I haven't heard that in a really long time. Dragon Age Origins ran on the Eclipse engine, which was an enhanced version of Aurora, while Dragon Age 2 ran on its successor, the Lyceum engine. Inquisition ran on Frostbite. The fact that the first 2 games ran on variations of Aurora means remasters would be unlikely now. There is basically no one at BioWare anymore that understands the Aurora engine. There's basically no one outside of BioWare anymore that understands the Aurora engine. So unlike... There's no one in or outside BioWare, basically. Oh, man. So unlike Mass Effect, which is Unreal, there are basically no companies that could help you. Because of this, a remastered trilogy would require far more work, likely needing a brand new team. EA doesn't like having employees. So if you're gonna do that, you're gonna do that with within the umbrella of BioWare, which means those people are not working on something else. EA doesn't like having employees is so fucking funny. And staying on the topic of EA being gross and being awful, this is Virginia Glaze, IGN. Battlefield 6's record-breaking success earns EA CEO $38 million payout, but laid-off devs aren't around to celebrate. EA CEO got an $8 million raise thanks to how well Battlefield 6 performed 4 months after the devs responsible for making the game got laid off. The highest-selling game of 2025. Wow, that's actually super impressive. Forgot about that. However, in March 2026, just 5 months after celebrating the most successful launch in the Battlefield franchise ever, EA laid off an undetermined number of employees across all its Battlefield teams to better align itself around what matters most to our community. Now come July, one of EA's SEC filings have been released, showing that CEO Andrew Wilson's total compensation for the 2026 fiscal year added up to $38 million. Almost 38 and a half, no, more than $38.5 million. As pointed out by PC Gamer, this is an $8 million increase from his total compensation from the previous year, and he has Battlefield 6's success to thank for it. This is insane. This is disgusting. This sucks. And it only gets worse. Only gets worse from there. Chris calling VGC again. EA says all regulatory approvals for its Saudi PIF acquisition have been obtained. Deal should be done next week. The $55 billion buyout. I mean, not much really to go over here. It sucks. This is very close. This is probably going to be the end of EA. I don't see me going. I mean, the only thing that would put me in, that would get me into getting an EA product at this point would be a Mass Effect game. Well, maybe. We'll even see if that even comes out. But this sucks. This is awful. I hope this gets blocked at some point somehow. I hope some miracle happens and this doesn't happen. But this is awful. I don't know why this. I don't know how and why this was allowed. This is crazy. Be one of those things where we're gonna look at it in the future and be like, why did we do this? And all the people responsible by then will be gone, of course. And last bit of larger news: Double Fine layoffs. Chris calling VGC again. These actions are not taken lightly. Double Fine has laid off 23 staff after going independent, which was kind of expected. Following news last month that Xbox planned to cut thousands of jobs as part of what CEO Asher Sharma called the most significant restructure. Some of the studios started negotiating with Xbox to go independent in an attempt to avoid closure, and Double Fine was successful in these negotiations along with South of Midnight studio Compulsion Games. As the newly independent studio, however, Double Fine has found itself having to cut costs to remain a going concern, which it says has led to layoffs. What? Today, Double Fine Productions let go of 23 members of our staff, Schaefer said in a statement on Blue Sky. As a small, tightly knit team, these actions are not taken lightly. Only the survival of our studio would ever make us consider such a painful action. Our transition to becoming an independent company also means becoming a size that we can sustain. The people we're losing were all important. They all made an impact on our games and culture, and they will be missed. We are committed to supporting each affected person as best we can, and we thank them for their hard work and commitment to the creative spirit we cherish here at Double Fine. Is that tracker still tracking? Let me just see something. I gotta see if that tracker's still tracking. It is in fact still tracking for 2026. Total so far 4,600. 22 shutdowns. I wonder how much overlap there is in people getting let go, finding a new job, getting let go again. 2022 8,500, 10,500, 14,600. 5,300. Yeah, 2024 was awful. They weren't counting studio shutdowns until this year, looks like, on this tracker. Damn. That's rough. Well, I don't expect this to be the last one of these. But it is for today, at least. Getting into the smaller news. God of War Layoff got a release date, I believe. Andy Robinson, VGC. Confirms God of War release date and return of Kratos in the next game. February 16th, 2027. That's fairly close. We only have until then to beat Ragnarok. So now we have an official release date for this. Next up, one of the co-founders of Rockstar talks about discs. Chris calling VGC. Rockstar co-founder Dan Houser says if people want games on disc, companies should provide it. It has now been 3.5 weeks since the announcement. Houser, who co-founded Rockstar Games, then left in early 2020, having written and produced its biggest games, including GTA 3 to 5, Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2, Bully, and Max Payne 3, attended San Diego Comic-Con this weekend to discuss his current company, Absurd Ventures. During conversation with IGN, and Laszlo Jones. Is that the Laszlo from GTA? Yeah, the former GTA radio station writer and presenter. That's so funny. Were asked their views on the physical media debate and whether they cared about seeing their games released on discs. Halter replied that while we weren't necessarily enthusiastic about having games on disc, he believes it should still be available as an option for those who are. I don't know that I care, but if people want that, I think companies should provide it. But I don't know that I personally care. And I also think that the ability to update games, as critical as people are of digital releases, the ability to update and fix problems in games has been really useful for the quality of games. That's fair. That is fair. Newsflash, some people are not going to give a shit. And that's just how it is. Next up, Blizzard had to fire somebody for cheating in WoW. For one of their own employees cheating in WoW. Crazy stuff. Chris calling VGC. Blizzard fired an employee for cheating with a developer-only insta-kill move in World of Warcraft. Why would you do that? Incident was first reported on the World of Warcraft Reddit page, where user Acrobatic Pianist said they were looking at logs for the game's Mythic Plus runs and found something odd. Mythic Plus is an endgame feature in WoW where players can take on 5-player dungeons with an endlessly scaling difficulty. According to the Reddit user, the log for a certain level 23 Mythic Plus run showed that despite the group being behind and seemingly unlikely to win, they pulled it out of nowhere and succeeded. Upon further investigation, the log, which records every move used in a run and its effect, showed that a 6th user called Daijosai had used a move called, quote, Area Death Test. The description of which is kills all enemies in a 30-yard radius. Cheater. It appeared that the user was a game master, a Blizzard employee who can oversee games and take action if players have issues such as retrieving bugged items, teleporting stuck players, and dealing with cheaters. In this case, however, it seemed that the employee was the one doing the cheating by using an insta-kill move only available to developers to help the group win their run. Crazy stuff. And then they immediately, once they were found out, they were immediately terminated. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? What did you think was like? You're a game master. You should know that the things are logged, right? You should know. You should know that ahead of time. That's so silly. What a silly thing to do. I bet it looked cool though. I bet it looked cool. Not gonna lie. But ESO update. Chris calling VGC. ESO is here to stay. Elder Scrolls Online Studio is working closer with Bethesda to build the future following layoffs. They had a big chunk of layoffs earlier. Now in a statement on the Elder Scrolls Online website, director Nick Giacomini has attempted to assure players that the game will still be around for the long term and that ZeniMax was working closer with Bethesda Game Studios, the developer of the main Elder Scrolls series, to ensure both studios can help each other out. Recently, we've been through a number of organizational changes and departures of teammates who helped shape the Elder Scrolls Online. We are profoundly grateful for everything they've contributed to the game and the community we've built together. At the same time, we've seen lots of questions about what these changes mean for ESO, so let me be clear, ESO is here to stay, and our team is dedicated to the future of this game. Our focus hasn't changed. It is continuing to grow the Elder Scrolls Online and build upon the world millions of players call home. I mean, we'll see. You can just say things on the internet. You can just say things and no one really pays attention, but it's going to be very surprising because they did lose a significant amount of workers. And it's going to be a long road ahead for the ones remaining. Next up, fuck Stellar Blade. No thank you on that new Stellar Blade coming out. Dave Aubrey VGC. Quote, are we dead ass? Fans react to official AI-generated Stellar Blade music video. We're not going to play the music video. The song Wanna Be in Love was released earlier today and features the protagonist of the upcoming game as a K-pop star singing and dancing around an environment that bears a resemblance to the setting of Blood Rain. The YouTube AI disclaimer for the music video states that sounds or visuals were altered or fully generated. The disclaimer likely isn't required for most fans, however, as the visual style is unmistakably AI generated. Predominantly features Eevee singing and dancing that holds up a chain, which reads K-pop Demon Hunters for some reason. Why? I don't know. A picture of the Derpy the Tiger. The K-pop Demon Hunters is not associated with Stellar Blade or shipped up, so it's unclear why this is featured so prominently. That's so funny. Fans didn't hesitate to share their disbelief. People were complaining about it. Some people were saying, yeah, they don't care, but this is gross. This is wild that they did this whole thing officially did this whole thing, released it, and expected people to be okay. Huh. I mean, that game did look pretty cool in the trailers, not gonna lie. But now this is just awful. This is just awful. Look at the shading on the fingers. It goes from like the glove to like skin. I don't. It's bad. All right, let's go through some of these chat picks. You got some free Ubisoft games. This is Andy Chalk, PC gamer. 13 Ubisoft games go free on PC if you own them on Xbox. The list includes Assassin's Creed Mirage, Valhalla, Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, Far Cry 6, Phoenix Rising, Prince of Persia, Riders Republic, Skull and Bones. I keep forgetting about Skull and Bones. I really want to play that again. Crew 2, Crew Motorfest, Rainbow Six, Siege, and Extraction, and Watch Dogs Legion. So those games are free on PC if you have them on Xbox. Next up, we're hopeful that there will be no AI in the next big JRPGs. This is Joshua Robertson, the gamer. Persona and Metaphor Refantasio artist Kazuma Kaneko is pretty legendary in the art scene, having most recently worked with Atlas on the demon design in the aforementioned Metaphor. He left Atlas a while ago to work on his own games with a company called Kalopal. That's where he remained, having recently released a game titled Tsukuyomi: The Divine Hunter. The legendary artist's games have been getting a bit of backlash recently thanks to the use of generative AI. For example, Divine Hunter was criticized for featuring AI-generated cards that were based on player's choice. He isn't using AI in his next game. Okay. Now looking to start up a new project, a fan recently asked him on Twitter, thanks Games Radar, whether he was going to continue working with AI or return to traditional drawing. The response made it clear that he's never used AI in his own artwork, but that his next game won't feature AI in its mechanics at all. I'm planning to develop games at Kalopal, and I'm preparing to turn it into an official project. I'm in a bit of a bind because of misunderstanding, but while I did participate in a project that used AI in the game's mechanics, I haven't used AI for my own art. For the work I'm currently preparing, I'm not considering a game that uses AI in its mechanics. Okay, that's cool. It's cool that he says it. That's just one person, but there's like so many other people, you know? He's just one artist. But it's good. It's good. We need more of those. Next up, Meccha Chameleon doing crazy numbers. This is Scott McCrae, Games Radar. Meccha Chameleon made more money than any other PC game last month apart from Fortnite, according to new data. That's crazy. And there's not really any like in-game purchases. It's just the game, right? That's crazy. So, hey, good for them. They made a pretty fun game. I hope they keep updating it. Watch out for the malware in the Steam Workshop downloads. So watch out for that. Next up, Crash Fault coming back. This is Edwin Evans Thorwell, Rock Paper Shotgun. I don't know why they chose Crash Fault. Forgotten Steam game suddenly becomes a hit after players start using it for Undertale online multiplayer. So that's pretty cool. Released back in 2018, Crash Fault is a free and eccentric multiplayer game in which players do ground pounds to send out seismic ripples, striving to punt each other off screen. It's got an overwhelmingly positive Steam user review reception as of writing, but that's not entirely a judgment on its quality. You see, Crash Fault is a hit today, partly because you need it to run an online multiplayer mod for Toby Fox's wonderful RPG Undertale. Of Crash Fault's 555 currently existing user reviews, the vast majority were written over the 5 years after release. Either totally disregard or cruelly dunk on Crash Fault. An example, 10 out of 10 funny Undertale game will never play this. Okay, so that's rough. I wonder if this actually shows anything here. Yeah, I get it. Did these people make Nidhogg? Kind of looks like Nidhogg, but like with different sprites. Yeah, I mean, that's a game. It's interesting that it's needed for the Undertale multiplayer thing, but sure. Next up, third-person perspective in Baldur's Gate 3? Question mark. This is Justin Wagner, PC gamer. Modders finally got a high-quality third-person camera working in Baldur's Gate 3 for all you Dragon Age sickos. Let's see what it looks like. We don't need audio. Whoa. This actually looks kind of crazy. This looks insane. Huh? Imagine the game was actually like this. I think the top-down way is better, but this just looks... This is like a crazy perspective, looking at it like this. That's got to be a lot of work. Anyway, that's pretty cool. If anyone tries that out, let me know how it is. Looks cool. Next up, let's get an update from Owlcat Studios. This is Wesleyan Pool, IGN. The Pool. After Pathfinder and one of the best Warhammer 40,000 games ever made, Owlcat's next step is to top them all, and it's grown to 600 people to do it. Began life as a small developer, as so many do, but with plenty of expertise on the team. 2018's Pathfinder Kingmaker, its first game, was successful, so the natural thing to do was to make a bigger and better sequel, Wrath of Righteous. 2021, another Pathfinder, but Owlcat took a significant step forward with 2023's Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader, a sort of Baldur's Gate 3 set in Warhammer 40,000 universe game. Why is there so many of those? Somebody explain that to me. Why is there so many 40,000 games? And why are they 40,000? Now, Owlcat has announced 2 games in production. 40,000 Dark Heresy and The Expanse: Osiris Reborn. The Expanse game looks pretty cool. Dark Heresy continues Owlcat's impressive run of CRPGs, but The Expanse is something of a departure for its studio. Third-person action RPG made in the Mass Effect style. And so, what started as 15 people working together on Pathfinder is now a whopping 600-person development studio making multiple big projects. Owlcat has grown enormously in just a decade, and with that growth has come significant change to the way it develops games. But co-founder and creative director Alexander Michelin tells me the studio has lost none of its passion for making RPGs that pack roll punch. So that's awesome. That's cool. I'm glad to see a studio that is not falling apart and is actually doing really good. So this is cool. Hopefully the Expanse game does really well. I do plan on playing that one. Next up, Cameron Koch, GameSpot. Diablo 4 will finally let you play the same character each season, but you don't get to keep anything. So basically, you're finally able to keep the same made player. It's basically to cut down on people having a shit ton of play. Like, let's say they want to play just the one class, like someone we know that just plays Barbarian. Instead of having to remake the Barbarian every single time, it just resets the last one you made, and you can use it in the new season. You lose all of your gear. You start off at level 0 again, but at least you don't have to take up another character slot. So it's basically what it is. So, I mean, that's cool. It saves a little bit of time and some space. Hopefully one day we get to just re-roll the same character. That'd be so cool. And last but not least, kind of a dev dub. Not exactly, but kind of. PC Gamer, Andy Chalk. Get more than 100 games for just $10 in a new bundle supporting laid-off game devs. With layoffs continuing to rack the games industry, Microsoft's decision to cut 3,200 people and ditch 4 studios in July was the big attention getter, but hardly the only bad news for the month or the past few years. The United Video Games Workers Union and Necrosoft Games have launched the Game Industry Hardship Fund Bundle on itch.io with more than 100 games on offer for just $10. Hey, chat, even if you're not going to play these games, you should buy them. $10. Funds raised by the bundle will go towards a hardship fund run by the union for game developers impacted by layoffs who can apply to the fund for money to cover food, healthcare, and rent. Details on eligibility are available in this FAQ, but one thing to note is that the fund, like the union, is only available to developers in the US and Canada. There are some more mainstream games in it. Short Hike, Skatebird, Drywall Eating Simulator, Dungeon Bodega Simulator. What is Drywall Eating Simulator? Huh? Hold on. Go buy the game pack. $10. Support the devs. That's our dev dub. As soon as Steam decides to load, that'd be so cool. A bite-sized, literally comedic adventure where you relieve the stress of ordinary life by biting through walls. What? 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 Who even cares about it that much? Literally eating the wall. Okay. It's mostly positive reviews. I'm gonna put it on my wish list. I mean, I'm probably just gonna get the bundle, so I don't even need to. I'm gonna put it on my wish list so I don't forget about it. That's crazy. So yeah, chat, that's it for today. We did it. Basically right on time. Drywall Eating Simulator is that's such a little treat. That's such a little treat. But that's it for news for this week. Thank you all for hanging out. You guys have been the best. See y'all next time. Check out the links in the chat as usual. YouTube, Twitter, Discord, TikTok. Thank you all for hanging out in the live. Anyone that watches the VOD, anyone that hits the thumbs up or does a comment, any of those things, you guys are great. And you make news do fun. You make fun news time. Until next time.